Hey everyone, Stephanie Lucrezio coming to you live on this sunny Friday evening with a little conversation that's probably not the most typical Friday night conversation, but it's the year that we're in, and it's all about politics in New Jersey, talking about taking New Jersey back and making sure that we can continue to retain some friendlies throughout the legislature and to make sure that we can hold down our medical and religious freedoms. Many of you tuning in know that we have fought incredibly hard these last couple of years to maintain the right to choose what enters our bodies and our children's bodies. And we have a really big year in New Jersey. You know, depending on what happens this year, for many of us will decide the fate of our future in the state. So the stakes have never been higher. And I know that when I look at comments, and even myself, people are hyper-focused on the governor race, and it is super important that we vote for the right candidate going into the gubernatorial elections, especially in the primaries. And I have much more to come to you on that specific topic. But tonight, instead of looking at this top-down approach, we're going to speak to a couple of my favorite ladies and talk about the bottom-up approach to really talk about the Senate. Because in the Senate, the reason that our bill did not pass was because we did not have enough votes in the Senate to make it go through. And it's a really important point and topic to bring out because oftentimes we forget about that. So we need to make sure that we're looking at all the different avenues where we get to an area where we can breathe and know that our freedoms are there. And the other thing is, you know, like in Florida, everyone's talking about Florida and how fantastic it is. They have an amazing governor right now. But if that changes in a couple of years, a lot of things can change. So we need to make sure that at every level of government, in your local politics, that you are creating relationships and putting people in seats who support freedom, who are open to having conversations, and who take a stand for the things that are really important. So to that end, tonight, I am bringing on two of my favorite ladies, Melanie Draggone and Katie Rivera. These two women have been, for me, just a giant hug coming into New Jersey and being hit with all this stuff. They have been there for me every step of the way as I got my crash course in Politics 101, not knowing the difference between a Senate bill and an Assembly bill when I first started this work. So for those of you coming in that think you can't, you absolutely can. You just need to partner and link arms with like-minded people who are willing to take you under their wing and show you the ropes. So I'm honored and pleased to bring in Melanie Draggone and Katie Rivera, now of the New Jersey NJPHIPAC, the New Jersey Public Health Innovation Political Action Committee. We have come a long way in New Jersey, ladies. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thanks, Steph, for having us.
So happy that you guys are here. So tell us a little bit about, you know, we've had so many late night conversations. We've heat napped, we've cried, we've laughed, we've screamed. All of the things have happened on the call. And we've had so many plans over these last 2 years to really legitimize ourselves here in New Jersey to make sure that we are seen as a powerful voting bloc that legislators take seriously. And I'm really proud of what we've done in these last 2 years on so many different levels, the community that we've built and the structures that we've put in place in this really important election year. And, you know, one of the things that you guys have done is this NJPHIPAC. Can you talk a little bit about what the reasoning was and what the need was here in New Jersey for what you're doing right now?
Sure. So we were all there in 2019 in December, and then again in 2020 with a collection of thousands of other New Jersey parents who were committed to defending medical freedom. And seeing all those people there and knowing how passionate they were because they stood outside for hours on end, screaming in the cold, in the rain, we thought it was necessary and the right time to create a political action committee. So what that does actually is it allows our legislative body to see that we are a voting bloc. All of those people they saw, now they know how many people believe in medical freedom. With the Political Action Committee, we're able to collect funds on behalf of the medical freedom community here in New Jersey, and in turn, support those legislators who support us, help to unseat those legislators who do not support us, and allow us to really get behind and get a seat at the table to have conversations with legislators. So this is our opportunity to show with dollars all of the people who believe in this issue here in New Jersey. Every person who donates to NJPHIPAC is equated to a vote in the eyes of the legislative body. And because we're a public nonprofit entity, all of the information is accessible to the public. So the legislative body and the legislators and people looking at this information will see how many people have donated to us, how many people are investing their time and money into the FIPAC. And that really equates to them understanding how many people care about medical freedom here in New Jersey.
And there are a lot of us, that is for sure. Every time I go to an event, I'm astounded at how the number of people telling me, this is my first time here, this is my first time here. It makes me so happy. And it makes me really happy to know that we have a place to put our dollars, because the fact is, when it comes to this political game, the money is such an important part, and knowing that we have a voting bloc that's donating, that is really looking at this issue, solidifies us. So I'm so thankful that you guys did this and that this is a thing. I know it's something that's been in the works. So we're super excited to bring you information tonight. Katie, do you have anything that you wanted to add to that?
No, I think Melanie did a good job, basically covering it all. NJ5PAC is the first political action committee in the state of New Jersey ever that's devoted specifically to medical freedom and medical choice. So it's putting us on the map in a very big way. Legislators have been very receptive to this. We operate it, with the highest level of integrity, like a business, like a baby. And, we really care about it. We care about doing the right thing. We're always thinking and rethinking and overthinking and strategizing. And what the 7 of us as board members are doing is we're trying to, represent the people and do it in the right way.
Well, we thank you. And I'm going to go ahead and share the screen so that we can look at some of the pictures and the slides for people that are on right now. Let me just go into share screen. Here we go. The technology parts always make me crazy. All right. Can you see it yet? I see it. No? All right. Of course, now that we're live. So anyway, keep talking while I just deal with my technical issues.
Sure. So when the photo comes up, it'll be a photo of the 7 board members, as well as photos from all of us who were in Trenton in 2019 and in 2020. So to reiterate, we are an independent, nonprofit, nonpartisan, so we're working with both sides of the aisle, grassroots political action committee. We consist of parents, professionals, educators, health advocates, business owners, and just thought leaders. We are, like you, everyday citizens, united with a shared commitment to defend and advance the freedom for every New Jersey resident here. The PAC protects and advocates for medical freedom, health privacy, informed consent, and parental rights here in New Jersey.
Can you see the screen?
Yeah, you're good. You're all set.
No, and I need to go to the next slide. Okay, so make sure you can see it.
Yeah, you can go to the next slide. Let's do that. So this is just a little bit about the PAC. So what a PAC does is a PAC is a depository of funds set up to collect donations from individuals like yourselves, or corporations or associated groups. And then we, as the PAC, use those funds to strategically support candidates or incumbents directly or indirectly. When all of the people in our movement and all of those who care about medical freedom contribute to the PAC, even a small donation, those add up in a really big way. And instead of our money, our concerns kind of getting lost in the shuffle, like if I give a donation to a candidate and you give a donation to a candidate as an individual, when all of us pool our money through the PAC and pool those resources, our money makes a bigger impact. because when the donations come from NJPHIPAC, it's much more effective to the legislative body. They see that it's coming regarding medical freedom specifically. When many individuals contribute to the PAC, we are able to fund candidates and some of their campaigns. Katie will tell you all about our help with Jamel Holly's campaign, but also, help those underdogs maybe who don't really have a chance maybe to get into the race. And what we want to do is give our support monetarily and also through boots on the ground efforts. So we can also help not only with your donations, but your volunteer opportunities to help the candidates actually get through to the next part of their campaign, whether it be the general election or the primary. And our PAC is different from bigger PACs because typically political action committees are like arms of corporations, and we differ because we are a grassroots PAC, just like all our efforts in New Jersey regarding medical freedom, all grassroots. And we rely solely on the support of our contributors and community members really to gain any traction with awareness to medical freedom. So not only do we need those significant funds to be influential, but we need each and every donor is seen, like I mentioned before, as a voter. So the more contributions we have, the bigger of a voting bloc that we look like we are and that we know that we are. So you can move on to the next slide. Yeah.
I did. You see it?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So this is our NJPHIPAC official endorsement seal. And as we announce our endorsements of the candidates who support medical freedom here in New Jersey, that seal with a photo of the candidate will be put on our website and on our social media platforms. And with this seal, all of you, part of our movement, will be able to know which candidates have been thoroughly vetted and who align with the PAC's mission and who support medical freedom. We, as leaders in this movement, and around election time, we get a lot of questions from our peers, as the ballots come out, the sample ballots. It's like, well, who should I be voting for? Who should I tell my mom and my friends and family to vote for? And this will be an easy way for everyone to be able to just catalog and go through and see who they should be supporting in their districts. We're trying to make it as simple as possible and introduce all of you to the candidates in the way that we know the candidates. What we're doing is we've sent out surveys to each of the incumbent legislators, so those are the people that are sitting in the seats, and also to those who are their opponents. So we're trying to get a sense through this survey where these legislators stand in regards to medical freedom. So then we're able to then translate that information to you, the constituents in those districts, kind of just to make it easy. So look out for this endorsement seal, and we just put one out, and Katie will talk about that in a bit, but we will have more after the primary. So all through the summer, we will be interviewing and coming out with different endorsements for different legislators here in New Jersey. So keep a lookout for that. And now I want to hand it over to Katie because she had some information about the New Jersey elections for 2021.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Melanie. And thank you everybody for joining us tonight. We're going to go on like a little ride. There's about six or seven slides here, but I tried not to make this boring. I hope it reaches this audience. It's actually really important information, and my goal is to help you to understand why this year is probably one of the most important years, make it or break it year for New Jersey with regard to medical freedom. 2021 is a crucial election year in New Jersey as it pertains to our bill specifically, the Religious Exemption Repeal Bill. Every seat in the New Jersey legislature and the governor's seat is up for re-election. Why is this important to us? Part of this segment is going to look at where some risks and opportunities may exist as part of the 2021 election cycle to ensure we maintain enough votes against our bill. I just want to mention that the data I'm going to review with you, it's point in time data. So it's what we know today. It can change. Elections are fluid. Data is fluid. and changes can and will occur. So Steph, you can move to the next slide.
I did. Do you see it?
I do. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, you might still be asking, right? Why would we focus on the Senate? Isn't the governor's race just as important? What about the assembly, right? The answer is yes, like all seats are important and we should be focusing on all of it, the whole pie, because it's like one big chessboard. And we have to protect our queen, the queen being the religious exemption here in New Jersey. So looking back, right, in December of 2019 and January of 2020, you may remember that we stopped the religious exemption repeal bill from passing. Where was it stopped? The Senate. Senator Sweeney put the bill on the agenda to be heard. He was hopeful, maybe even a bit cocky, that he would gather enough votes to get it to pass. It has been said by many, both in the legislature, the media, and throughout the state, that the religious exemption repeal bill was likely held because Sweeney was one vote shy in getting enough votes to pass it. For those of you who don't know, it is common practice that if a bill is on an agenda, it's going to pass. The process is that the legislature, they tally the votes on important legislation and they do it behind the scenes, like in the background. And they do that to assess, do we have enough votes to pass this bill? And usually if they do have enough votes in the background to pass the bill, they'll say, okay, now we can put it on the agenda. And from there, it goes on the agenda and it usually is then taken to a formal vote. In the case of our bill, it was really like almost like the first time in history. And a lot of legislators have said this, like this was sort of astonishing because our bill was put on the agenda, but it was never called to vote. And that doesn't happen too often. So it can be strongly inferred that it was not called to vote because there were not enough votes to pass it. And further, it can be strongly inferred that it was due to being only one vote shy. This was the only variable that prevented our bill from passing and hitting the governor's desk to be signed into law, which had it landed on his desk, it would have been signed. So with elections upon us, our long game for protecting our queen here is in the Senate. If we lose just one Senate seat, that's a current no vote seat, our bill gets passed. Okay, so Steph, you can go to the next slide. So this slide represents an analysis that NJPHIPAC did on all 40 districts, focusing on the Senate. Part of this analysis was gathering information on which incumbents are running, what new challengers have been declared, and which incumbents have decided not to run for re-election this year. We also looked at historical data by district to understand the margin in past elections, which districts had a narrow margin versus which districts may have won their election by a landslide. So we looked at all this data, and at this point in time, we have narrowed our lens from 40 districts to 7 key districts that we should, keep our focus on. Of the 7 districts, 2 districts we have identified as areas of opportunity. So what does that mean? These are 2 districts where the current incumbents are a yes vote on the religious exemption repeal bill, or a weak supporter of our bill. And the challenger to these incumbents is a stronger candidate with regard to our cause. So simply put, the area in green, which represents our areas of opportunity, it represents where we, our community, has the potential to gain a no vote seat in the Senate. Next, we have identified 2 districts where there are areas of risk. So what does that mean? What does risk mean, right? These are two districts where the current incumbents are strong supporters of our movement, meaning they are no votes on the religious exemption repeal bill in the Senate. But these incumbents have chosen not to rerun for their seat in this election. So simplifying this, the red areas are areas of risk, and it represents where we have the potential to lose a no vote seat in the Senate. And lastly, at the bottom, the area like in orangey yellow, we have identified 3 districts that we're going to watch carefully. So what does that mean? These are 3 districts where the current incumbents are strong supporters of our movement, meaning they are no votes on the religious exemption repeal, but there are potential risks to each of these seats for varied reasons. So we want to keep like a watchful eye on it. So now we're going to go one layer deeper, and we're going to look at our strongest area of opportunity to gain a no vote seat in the Senate in the 2021 New Jersey elections. All right, so our biggest opportunity to gain a no vote seat is in District 20. So let's take a look at District 20 and what this means. Jamel Holly is the current seated assemblyman in District 20. Jamel is stepping up to challenge current seated senator and incumbent Joe Cryan. Senator Cryan is not a supporter of ours. He was assigned the alternate on the Senate Health Committee on December 12th, 2019, and he cast a yes vote on the religious exemption repeal bill in that committee. And if the religious exemption repeal bill would have been heard on the Senate floor back in December of 2019 or January of 2020, it is fair to say that Senator Cryan would have also voted yes in the Senate to pass this bill. So in contrast, we have Jamel. Jamel was a strong no vote on the religious exemption. In the full assembly, he voted no. And not only did he vote no, but he had a lot to say about this bill. And he was out there standing with us all the hours and the days that we all stood in Trenton in December and January. Jamel was standing there with us as well. So what does this mean? The takeaway here is that if Jamel wins the primary, the key is the primary, we will gain a no vote seat in the Senate. We will have one more strong voice and vote in the New Jersey State Senate speaking and advocating with regard to religious freedom, medical freedom, human rights. But it all comes down to the primaries for this particular race. It's not about the general election. It's about the primaries for this. We have 2 Dems who are primarying each other, right? So whoever wins the primary is very likely to be forecasted to take the general election. Cryan has been given the line by the New Jersey Democratic Party for the 2021 election. So, and for those of you who might not know, like when you're given the line, it's statistically, you kind of like, people who get the line, they kind of get more votes. They kind of have a leg up, right? So Cryan got the line by the New Jersey Democratic Party for the 2021 election. So our support, our community support for Jamel in the primary is like of utmost importance. And to reiterate, the most important thing I would like everyone watching and listening to know is the following. Like if you walk away with one thing tonight, just walk away with this. The primary race in District 20 is where we have the greatest opportunity to gain a no vote seat in the Senate. All right, so we're gonna go to the next slide. So who is Jamel Holly, right? Assemblyman Holly's position and voting record on medical freedom is very aligned with our community. As mentioned before, his vote on the religious exemption repeal bill in December of 2019 was a no vote. As the current seated assemblyman in District 20, Jamel Holly is very popular throughout his district and his community. He cares about the community he represents, and he is active in his community, reaching his constituents on what matters most to them. His slogan for this election is "I am you," and it speaks for itself. Jamel is an avid supporter of medical freedom, both within the state of New Jersey and across the nation, clearly demonstrating that medical freedom is a nonpartisan human rights issue that he is committed to on a macro level. So this primary race for Jamel is substantial. It is an opportunity for us to change history. I don't think I've mentioned this, but if Jamel wins this primary, he will become District 20's first Black senator. The district's first Black senator who's committed to human rights and ensuring that, and this is something that Jamel loves to say, he always puts it on Twitter and he puts it on Facebook, where there is a risk, there must be a choice. So we couldn't ask for a better candidate. So we're gonna go to the next slide. As we mentioned earlier, Melanie and I are both, we're both part of NJPHIPAC. NJPHIPAC is New Jersey's first official political action committee devoted to medical freedom. And last week, we announced our first endorsement, and it was of Jamel Holly for the 2021 Senate primary. It was a no-brainer. The District 20 Democratic Senate primary not only has strategic value, it is also shaping up to be a close and fiercely competitive race. If our community comes together on this, we can have an impact and we can help push Jamel Holly across the finish line. But we need your help. We can't do this alone. As we all know, this election cycle is extremely important. Every legislative seat is up for election, and it's vital that we all work collectively to maintain our medical freedom. We see what is happening around us, from the 10 New Jersey universities that are mandating the COVID vaccine to how Connecticut just lost their religious exemption. The time is now. We have to show up now. We have to work proactively now in the 2021 elections to preserve our religious and health freedoms here in New Jersey. So what am I saying? I'm saying that we all know that showing up in Trenton when the bill is on the agenda, it's not a strategy. And we saw what happened in Connecticut. We need to be proactive now. We know it won't turn out like it did for New Jersey last January. If it's not apparent already, I'm going to make it very clear. If you stood in Trenton with all of us in December of 2019 and in January of 2020, then you know that Jamel stood with us. It is now time that we all stand with him in this primary. We need to bring the mama and papa bears and everybody else who cares about medical freedom, everybody who stood in Trenton, we need to bring all those people to support Jamel in this primary. There is no other primary race in New Jersey that is more important to our issue than this one. So standing with Jamel in the primary and offering your support is akin to all of us standing in Trenton like we did over a year ago. All right, so how do we do that? Let's flip to the last slide. So how can you stand in Trenton now, just like we all did over a year ago? We need you to do the following. It's all hands on deck, and nothing warrants this more than the next 4 weeks leading up to the primary election in District 20. We need you to first go to njphipac.org, check out our website, consider donating. As a donor, there's perks. You will get insider information that we bring exclusively to our donors. We communicate specifically with our donors, and our donors, every donor, like Melanie mentioned before, it equates to the number of people in New Jersey who care about the issue of medical freedom. So the more individual donors we build, the stronger our issue becomes in the legislature. If we're going into a legislative meeting and we only have 100 donors, does that represent the thousands of people who showed up in Trenton? It doesn't, and it weakens us. If we show thousands of donors, we become a voting bloc. We are taken seriously, okay? So And it's also important to note that NJPHIPAC uses all donations towards strategy, and specifically, many of the donations will be used directly to help Jamel's race in the primary. The second thing we need you to do is we would like you to consider going and standing in Jamel's district, right? So volunteering in his district. NJPHIPAC has partnered with an advocacy group that's called We the People, and they're a New Jersey-based advocacy group, and they're great. They pull together volunteer opportunities. They've done this in past elections, like with Senator Bucco, and now they are hyper focused on Jamel. Like, they have seen the light, and that we are working with them, and they are prepared to support Jamel's campaign in the primary. So they have a form where they're collecting anybody's information that's interested in donating their time and being a volunteer, whether that be knocking on doors, holding up signage, making phone calls, or anything else. And there's a lot of other strategies that we all have cooking around really helping to pull Jamel through in the primaries, but we need volunteers. So please, 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 if you have the time, sign up on this form and consider volunteering with Jamel's campaign to help push him over the line. We're going to post all these links in the chat as well. And the third piece and final piece, and then I'll shut up, is if you can follow NJPHIPAC on social media. Follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, Twitter. Our handle is @NJPHIPAC, and it's just a great way for you to stay informed on key events and happenings. We like to do little updates and show people when we're meeting with legislators, and when we're working key events, or when, anything that's coming up across the state, like we post it on our social media. So if you want to stay in touch and you want to, kind of be abreast of what's going on, come follow us on social media. Thank you.
Thank you. Hold on. I'm trying to figure out how to stop the screen share here. Let's see. All right.
There we go.
So I'm looking at comments. I couldn't see anything except the screen, so I can't see if there's any questions. I was trying to. Oh, we got lots of lovely things. So we're going to share the donation link. So for those of you that are on, it is so important right now that you get involved in this conversation. We need to pay attention to all the strategies. I always say that. We've had this conversation that there is no one winning strategy to get to the finish line. So we need to really look to see how we can, as a collective, have our voices be heard, have our donations be tracked, and help Jamel. Because those of you that have met Jamel know that he is one of us. He's out there. He has traveled across all the states. I saw him in Connecticut. He was in Connecticut. He's everywhere fighting for this issue. So it's so much bigger than just New Jersey. And we need to support the people that support us. So what I'm going to do is put the link on here right now for you. Hold on one second. If you haven't already, go on and make sure that you're donating. Support and donate to the New Jersey NJPHIPAC on the link below. And I can pop it into the comments for you. But you need to make sure that we are a voting bloc, we are heard, we are strong, and activism right now is not standing in Trenton screaming and banging on drums and blowing whistles. As much as I love that, that's not what we're doing right now. We are doing the advocacy on the streets, knocking on doors, handing out palm cards, being on the streets with the candidates who support us. That is where we need to go. So this weekend, let's talk about what's happening. There's a couple of opportunities to actually show up and roll up your sleeves and make sure that you're part of the conversation. So can we talk a little bit about where we're going this weekend? Roselle or Union? You guys there?
Yeah, Roselle.
Roselle. Okay. So I'm going to post the comment right now in the chat. This is the link, you guys. As you're seeing this come up, and I hope that it posts. My computer.
Yep, I see it.
Okay. My computer's on a delay, so I'm like looking and doing all kinds of things while you guys are presenting to make sure everything is good. But yeah, go on this link and make sure that you sign up, because this is going to give you updates on what we're doing in Jamel's district. The primary is June 8th. So if you're not doing it now, this is the time. And if you don't want to be standing outside in the cold in November and December, this is what we need to be doing at this moment in history. Otherwise, we absolutely will be. And it's sad to think of what's happened in Connecticut happening here in New Jersey. So we need to make sure that that does not happen, not now, not ever. And the only way to do this is to get involved right now in the conversation and be out there. So I'm so appreciative that you guys came on and shared this information. I think that it's so important for people to know what a PAC is. I didn't even know what a PAC was. And then you hear about all these different PACs that are out there. We need to put money behind our candidates. We need to make sure that they have the support, not only going into their offices, writing letters, letting them know, but remember, we are raging against some pretty hefty financial donors that unfortunately, we like to think that our candidates are for the people, by the people, but that doesn't always happen. You get pulled in different directions. And we know some of the candidates that supported us in Trenton lost funding. I mean, there was consequences for those actions. We're playing a political game out there, and we don't know about all the things that happen behind the scenes. I was appalled at some of the things that I heard. So we need to make sure that we have a trusted organization that we can work with to support the candidates that support us. And I thank you guys so much for coming on and being with me and sharing the presentation. I'm very happy that the screen share went well. I was a little bit of a wreck in the background, but right, I'm like looking to make sure everything's good. But yeah, so we'll definitely be back. I think we need to continue this conversation because I know that it goes a lot deeper, Katie. We talked about this beforehand. So it's like little bite-sized pieces as we go through it to be able to give people what they need for right now. So right now it's all about the primary. I know that you guys aren't touching the gubernatorial elections, but I'm assuming after the primaries, we might be able to have that conversation. We will come back and have that conversation as we go through the next 6 months. It's going to be a roller coaster ride, people. So fasten your seatbelts, do your part, get out there, knock on doors, come be with us with Jamel. The times are what, 1 o'clock and 2:30 are the meetup times?
1 and 2. Yeah. And if you send an email and sign up to volunteer, you get all the details, where to meet, and where he's going to be, because he'll show up and a meet and greet to start. Okay, perfect. So I will be there, I believe, on Sunday is the best day, because I'm going to be in Middletown tomorrow morning for a couple of the protests. If I can come after and do both days, I definitely will. I plan to live stream what it looks like so people know that it's not anything awesome.
We're literally hanging with our people, knocking on doors, and just having conversations that matter at a time where it's never been more important to do so. So come out, join us. Don't be afraid. Roll up your sleeves, and let's make sure that we can keep New Jersey free for our children. Thank you guys so much.
Oh, thanks, Steph.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is great.
Thank you. Have a great rest of the night, and I will definitely see you soon.
Yes.
Bye.
All right. Bye.